Hey guys, welcome back. There's a lot happening, and here's a pretty simple breakdown of the latest events. Back in 2020, during Trump's first term, there was a lot of talk about cracking down on drug cartels from Mexico and Venezuela. The US referred to them as terrorist organizations, and they were hinting at taking military action to stop drugs from coming into the US. Well, fast forward to a second term, and this movement has been in full effect. In September 2025, the US launched Operation Southern Spear, where missiles and airstrikes were used to sink boats in international waters. Apparently, these boats were smuggling drugs into the US, and so the bombings were necessary to protect the American population. So far, there have been over 35 strikes and over 100 people have been killed. But the big controversy here is that these claims are based off of intelligence, meaning there aren't photos of seized drugs, there aren't lab tests on the boat remains, nothing that indicates the presence of drugs. In the worst case scenario, the US military is killing people on suspicion alone without having arrests, trials, or any due process. And if in the US, a cop shot and killed somebody just for looking suspicious, the country would be outraged, and there might be a chance that this is happening with these bombings. The second story here is something that's been in effect ever since January 1st. Health insurance suddenly became way more expensive for millions of Americans. To understand this, let's rewind to the Affordable Care Act from 2010. It helped people buy health insurance on a marketplace, basically a government website, by giving subsidies to lower monthly premiums if you're in a place of financial need. In 2021, during COVID, former President Biden's American Rescue Plan made these subsidies enhanced, so just bigger and available to more people with no strict income cutoff. Even middle-class individuals paid no more than 8.5% of their income. Then this was extended in 2022's Inflation Reduction Act, but only until the end of 2025. In 2025, with Trump back in office and Republicans controlling Congress, this healthcare help was not extended. And the Democrats pushed hard to keep the extra help, so much so that it caused the longest government shutdown. But here we are, and these enhanced subsidies are now expired. And what this means for people is that over 20 million Americans who buy ACA insurance are seeing their monthly premiums jump by an average of 114%. It's expected that many people will drop their coverage altogether just because of this massive price jump. The last story of the day is about domestic crime and immigration. During Trump's presidential campaign, he often talked about Democrat-run cities like Chicago, LA, and Portland for high crime, homelessness, and not enforcing immigration laws strictly. He often talked about sending federal troops to clean these cities up, and in his second term, he made it happen. He started deploying National Guard troops to these cities, but he federalized them, or in other words, took control of the cities from the governors. In June 2025, troops were sent to LA to contain protests against his mass immigration raids. From October to November 2025, troops were deployed in Chicago to contain protests at immigration detention centers. And in early October 2025, troops were sent to Portland in response to demonstrations near ICE offices. But what happened next was that legal losses started piling up. A federal judge blocked Portland deployments temporarily. In December 2025, the Supreme Court refused to let Trump deploy to Illinois. And this is slowly becoming a debate about power. In other words, who controls the military in America? States are saying no to troops that they didn't ask for, but Trump says we need it for national security. There's a lot that's been happening, and I'll keep you updated every step of the way. Thanks for watching.